So a couple of days ago, an interview that you did with a Lithuanian outlet, I believe LRT
Yeah.
is their initials, came out, and it created some controversy for you. You were talking about your motivations leading up to this fight and your roots, your Lithuanian roots, and recently seeing that documentary again, the other Dream Team, which you've talked about in the past, and you said, your mindset going to this fight is better dead than red, which of course is a slogan from 50, 60 years ago about anti-communism movement. And you talked about what she represented and all that stuff. And this has obviously created some buzz online. And I'm curious if after seeing the buzz or after seeing the reaction to it, if you felt the same way, if you understood why it bothered people, what's your takeaway from the last couple of days since this has now gotten out there to the larger MMA public and the community?
Yeah, I'm kind of unaware as far as people's feelings about it just because everybody has an opinion, but and nobody has to share the same opinion as me, but for me, and this is my opinions are based on my experiences. This is not something I looked up on YouTube. You know what I mean? This is an actual reference to a documentary. If you're confused about any of my opinions, you can watch the documentary and you can get a good idea as to what my family had to go through. Um, the reason that I'm in the United States today, the reason that I do mixed martial arts, all of that stuff. I probably have a really different life if it wasn't for, just everything in that documentary and how Lithuanians had to struggle with, communism oppression. And so yeah, the reason that I brought it up and that I referenced it is because the reporter suggested that that I had animosity towards past opponents and that I was, that's what maybe caused some motivation in those fights, and that this one there's no animosity and therefore I don't, maybe there's a lack of motivation. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Number one, I don't have any animosity towards anybody. Obviously, I'm not perfect. I'm a sinner. I definitely have emotions. But when I'm fighting, there's no emotions towards that person. It's just an outward manifestation of my inner demons that I have to deal with every day. And so that's number one. No animosity towards anybody. This is not directed at Weili as a person, but at the same time, I'm motivated for this fight more than ever. I mean, this is my history. This is where I come from, and these are the demons that I have to face every day. And so yeah, I don't know. That's just kind of how I feel about it. And if there's any confusion about it, watch the documentary. I really encourage people to do that. It's nothing. It's something that I'm very thankful for because I going through all that and knowing all of the history and stuff. It reminds me of why freedom is so important, and especially in this day and age where my grandfather had to pass away in the hospital from COVID by himself, and people are dying alone in hospitals without their family members. And so for me, we should have the freedom to be able to be with our family. But that's just my opinion, but it's based on facts and it's based on experience. It's not just something that I came up with. So
I think if I can put myself in other people's shoes, what they took issue with was I don't think Zhang has really talked about politics. And so I think when you say like she represents this, you're like, well, she doesn't really speak about these things. So how do you know what she represents, and why did you, put her in that box, so to speak? Do you understand why people would feel like, well, maybe she's not someone who believes in these things? Just because she comes from there doesn't mean she necessarily believes these things. So maybe
true.
that was something that shouldn't have been, brought up. Why mix the two if she's never openly? Maybe I've missed it, but maybe she's never, because she's never talked about it. Why
True.
bring it up?
Yes, that is true, and I don't know what her beliefs are, but here's the thing is that, and this is a question maybe that we should ask her or whatever, but can we really even know what she actually believes? Or and from my experience, or not from my experience, but um, you know, she may be being told what to say. I don't know. And do we know what she believes?
No, because she hasn't talked about it. I understand where you're coming from. Do you regret saying any of this?
No. Yeah, I mean, for me, like, and from my experience, you know, being with communism, like, from what I know is that you can't freely have an opinion. You can't criticize your government. I can talk about America and how imperfect it is, and how, there's just lots of things messed up about us, and stuff like that. And I'm very grateful for that freedom to do so.